Hello, it's Cisvolk. Time to enjoy card making with me. Today I'm going to work with carlacreaties cute ocean fish. And I'm doing that this time along with these large alphabet dies. So super handy, you can make all kinds of words with them. I'm combining them with these little alphabet letters. Then I use these two colors of oxide ink, the Mermaid Lagoon and the Broken China. Great to combine with each other. I have the slimline deckled edge dies from Craftemotions. I have vellum and I'm going to emboss with the die cut machine and this rubber mat. So well, let's get started quickly. To start, I take the smallest size of the deckled edge slimline die and I die cut it out of regular smooth cardstock. The die belongs to this set of dies. You see, I take the smallest size. Then I take a B cutting plate. On that I put a rubber mat. And on that I put the card panel. And now I'm going to put the fish randomly down on the card panel. I also use the bubbles and all the other shapes. Then I put a folded thin sheet of paper on top. And then on top of that another B plate. Now I run it through the die cut machine. And you see, the shapes are now pressed into the paper and not cut out. That's how I make a really nice background. I'm going to repeat this several times with the same dies for the rest of the paper. I try to evenly divide the dies across the paper. It's always exciting to see what the result will be. I do use the water plant at the bottom each time and I also let the fish swim in realistic directions, also over the edge of the paper. It took me 4 runs through the die cut machine with these dies to make this background. Well, isn't this fun? Now I take a piece of vellum and I'm going to use the normal way to cut out 2 fish. Okay, now I have these fish cut out, but I have no pattern yet. I take the die cuts again. I put the shape back on the die. Then I use a creasing tool. It has 2 different sizes with bold tips. And with it I push very gently on the vellum. The tool has a thick point on one side and a thinner point on the other side. I start with a thick point. Then I turn the tool around and emboss again with the thin point. This is how I make the embossed vellum sharp at the edges. And as you can see, the eye is now dry embossed and the fish has a nice round eye. I start again with the curved size and push very gently along the edges. Then I start coloring, but I push very lightly. Then I turn the tool around and use the thin curved size and again only to accentuate the edges. This is how I do all the open shapes. When dry embossing an even surface, I do it the same way as if I were coloring with colored pencil. I color evenly and in all directions, so you don't see any streaks. So now we have 2 cute little fish. I'm going to die cut the letters blue. The letters are from this set, but there's no question mark in it. So I took the question mark from the other set with the capital letters. I am die cutting the letters from regular smooth 250 grams cardstock, but I am also die cutting them from black cardstock. And why do I keep the feeling like something's wrong now? Do you see it? I have die cut them once from white cardstock and twice from black cardstock. And what struck me now with the letter B? There are 4 of them. Look! Let me push this aside. There's a bee, there's a bee, there's a bee, and another bee. That can be tricky for some people. Now it occurred to me that you have to have the holes in the dies pointing upwards. And if you turn those holes all the way up and you turn the die cut upside down, you'll see exactly what the right letter B is. Here the P, the D, the Q and the B. So this is the good B that I need. Now I had accidentally die cut this B, but apparently it should be the other way around, because the circle is here and that turns out to be the Q. Now you think that is the same, but look what happens if you put them on top of each other. I'll take the white one here. Then you see it a lot better. Then you see that they are not exactly the same size. There's a very small difference. You can also see that when I put it in the mold, you can see that it doesn't fit. See, it doesn't fit in the mold. And this also applies to the U and the N. If you always take the one with the whole top, then you have the right one. Well, you will say, what are you bothering about? And it doesn't matter at all if you only use the letters, but if you think you're going to be quick and cut out several B's at once to stack and double up, they won't fit. And the same is true in certain cases when you want to cut out the letters and glue them back in the same shape, or when you want to ink blend the letters into the shape. That's why I showed it to you. So I now will glue and stack all the black letters together, two on top of each other. I use craftemotions multi-coat matte glue. That's what's inside my glue bottle. These white letters I want to ink blend. I put them back in the die because it's just easier when they are still in their mold. The idea is that I ink the bottom of the letters with the darker color blue and the top with a lighter color blue. I start blending with the lightest color and then switch to the darker color. And then again with the lightest color to make a nice gradient. So I use the Distress Oxide colors Mermaid Lagoon and Broken China. I switch between domed ink blending foams when switching colors, and I don't even have to add new ink to the sponges for each letter. You see, I ink blended all the letters with the Broken China at the top of the letter, or question mark in this case, and the Mermaid Lagoon in the bottom. The dry embossed card panel I'm also going to ink blend. I haven't put any new ink on my blending tool yet. I'm swiping very lightly across the paper. I start with a stripe in the middle with the darkest color shade. I then apply a stripe of ink just above and just below this darker shade. Very lightly, so that it goes from blue to white. Now I need to have a very small amount of extra blue on my blending tool. After I dip in the ink, I wipe this off again on my glass plate, so that I don't suddenly apply an ugly spot to the paper. Cool how suddenly the embossed shapes jump out. Finally, I apply a little more Mermaid Lagoon to make it stand out even more. I am now applying a small amount of Mermaid Lagoon oxide ink to my glass mat. I'm going to use this color to color my little fish that I die cut out of vellum. I turn the fish over and color the backside. For this I use my water brush. The vellum will curl slightly from the water, so don't work too wet. Be sure to color only the parts that are not embossed, so not the white parts, but the darker parts of the vellum. I better take my narrower water brush now, because it's really very narrow here with this thicker size. I use water brushes from Tombow. They don't leak and have very sharp and sturdy points that I like a lot, especially when coloring smaller parts. Have you already clicked on the thumbs up button and subscribed to my channel? That would help me so much in making more card making videos. The oxide ink dries up pretty quickly. For an even nicer, deeper hue, I paint over it a second time. not too many times in the same spot because you'll wipe it off again. You can see that the vellum curls up enormously. That happens because it's not water resistant, but if you pay attention, you will see that it also straightens up again reasonably. You can bend it back if it's too round. And for these little fish, I think the curved shape is quite nice. I sped up this part 8 times and you see it's almost flat. Then I have a card base here, a slimline format. I'm going to ink the edges. Again, I use the Mermaid Lagoon to blend the bottom and the broken china to blend the top. So I don't have to work very neatly, because you will only see the edges later. I make sure that the ink does not get on the inside of the card, so what's now the bottom. So wipe your work mat regularly and do not accidentally slide over the ink. Now I am going to glue the letters to the panel. First I lay them out roughly. I start with the black letters. These will serve as shadows later. Then I take out my T-ruler. I tape it to my work mat so it won't slide around and I can align the letters nicely without having to draw lines on my card with a pencil. And the magnets hold my card securely in place. Now I adhere the black letters. In my glue stick is multi-coat matte by craftemotions. I will show the packaging later. I use a clear block to push the letter on. I always look at the distance between the letters when gluing. The ruler also helps a little with that. It's always about 3 mm distance between the letters. On top of the black letters I glue the blue inked letters. About 2 mm shifted to the left. And with a tissue I dab glue that could come out from under the letters. You won't see anything of it later. Here I will show you what glue I used in my glue stick. It's a multi-coat matte, as I mentioned. I put it in with a pipette. You can also apply the glue with a brush, which I do in some cases. I'm going to add some more splatters on the panel to make it a little more playful. For this I dab some ink on a clear block, the Mermaid Lagoon in this case, and I spray it a little wet. With my water brush I mess around with it a lot. Depending on the amount of water, the distance and the movement, you get big or small splashes. It's just a matter of trying it out. I will now let this panel dry in the air. Now I continue with the small letters. I use these dies to make sticker letters. The craftemotions Easy Connect craft tape is very handy for this. You stick it on a strip of paper and then die cut the letters. When you remove the dies from the impression, use a small blunt object to press onto the holes so that the letters stay on the sticker sheet. I have a small strip here that I also covered with the tape, just like with the letters, and out of this I die cut the eye for the fish. Here you see it's a tiny die cut, the eye. I prefer to use a regular needle to stick it on. That way you can see exactly what it looks like before you glue it on. Also giving the other fish an eye. Oh, how funny is this? Now to glue on the word feeling. I do not press the letter firmly yet. With the needle you can also push the letter a little bit in place. The stickers stick really well. Even if you have the letter in one go not properly attached, you can stick it a few times again. Now I find it sits well and I press it firmly. Finally, I put the title on it. I always like to give my card a professional touch and write my name on the back. I use my craft mat to locate the center of the card. The Bugs and Flowers text stamps are great for personalizing your card. There are several stamps on these that are suitable for stamping on both the back and the front of your card. Most of you probably know that I stamp this round stamp very often on the back of my cards. But you can also use made by or yep I made this other round one, or 100% handmade. And there are other useful text on here too, like congratulations, thank you and hello. I'm going for the text, please cherish this card, it took hours to make. I have a new stamp pad from Versafine and I have to say it works really nice, super sharp and beautiful black, right in one go. The rest I write myself with a micron fineliner. Francis People is for me the English translation of my name, Francisca Volk. So Cisvolk I use for the short version and Francis People Productions for the longer professional look. The panel I'm going to glue on with foam blocks. The vellum fish are still a little warped, so you do have to try to bend them back a little bit by hand. I think this is such a funny fish. You can make it swim both ways. I tape the fish up with double-sided foam tape. Vellum shines through, so sticking on the white part is not such a good idea, see? You can see the foam blocks. So we glue the foam blocks to the blue painted parts. A pair of tweezers sometimes helps to hold small cut pieces. And look, it's also quite nice now that the vellum is warped. I'm going to apply details with a white gel pen. I first test the pen on a piece of test paper, in case splotches come out, or I don't like the result after all. I put 3 dots on the cheeks, or so to speak under the eyes, and also some dots and dashes on the back and fins of the fish. On the letters I put stripes to give the idea of glass. Always a long and a short stripe, and each time at the top left of the letter and at the bottom right. I'm not very good at this yet, so I'm sure I can do better, but at least it gives the effect of making the letters look round. Okay, now it's time for the envelope. If I remember, I put a piece of cardstock inside the envelope before I start coloring or ink blending on it. This way you can prevent the seams of the back of the envelope from showing through the front. I don't want to bore you with my ink blending, but I ink blended the envelope just like the card, with a dark at the bottom and light at the top. And also I ink blended the edge of the flap. Then again, here I have the roll of Easy Connect tape from Craftemotions. And now I have a piece of thin A4 printer paper. I always prefer to tape it like this, so not like this, but like this. So you put a piece of paper on top of the tape, and then I prefer to cut it off like this. And so then I leave a very small strip of paper on the roll. Because if you cut into the sticky tape, then it sticks to your scissors, and that does not cut very well. Moreover, you pull the tape loose. And that edge of paper is also handy for picking up the beginning next time. With a bone folder, I press it a little extra. Always do this on the tape side, not on the paper side. On the paper side, I put 2 fish to cut them out. So now I have 2 fish stickers. I leave the fish in the shapes for a while, because I want to color them with the Mermaid Lagoon ink. I want to keep the eye white, so I keep my finger on the eye and I smear the ink in the openings with the blending brush. It is something you might not remember that you can also use the dies as a stencil. This fish could use some extra ink. So now I take the broken china color and I use it to color the edges light blue. Keep the center white. I also give the clownfish the same treatment. Now I wipe a little too much on the eye. I wipe it away with a tissue. On the round fish, I put some dark ink on the edge, then it has little more depth. The dies are very easy to wipe clean with a little water. I have here a Signo Uniball white gel pen and a black Sakura glaze pen. I use this white gel pen again to apply the idea of a gloss and curve to the fish. I put dashes on the top and bottom of the fish and also some dashes on the fins. And again, 3 cute dots under the eye. Instead of die cutting the tiny eyepiece, I use this black glaze pen. You can make very nice round eyes with it, because the ink dries a bit thick. I prefer not to put the die cut eye on the envelope. It would be a shame if an eye would fall off in the mail. Now I'm trying to figure out which way I want the fish to swim. I let the fish dry for a while. And then I'll stick them on the envelope. That needle is always very handy to have around. I draw some air bubbles near the fish. Just some small circles in groups together. On the back of the flat fish, I put some dots. And then we're done. Super cute, isn't it? You can see very well the depth in the card and the structure of the embossed shapes. The colors of blue also blend together nicely. And I am happy to have tried this die cutting in combination with vellum. Such a cool technique. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you found it fun and informative, and also hope you will leave a thumbs up and a comment in the description box. Also, if you subscribe to my channel Cisvolk and hit the bell button, then you will not miss any of my new videos. In the description and in my playlist you will also find other videos I made with cards for carlacreaties and craftemotions. Take a look there as well. Or of course in my Pinterest, Facebook or Instagram account. Have a nice day, happy crafting, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!